Hello and welcome to Avenging Path 7. Today is episode 1, or video 1, of our Game of Thrones watch through together. I will be uploading a new video to this series every week and talk about 2 to 3 episodes of Game of Thrones each week. We'll talk about the story, character arcs, music, visuals, what we liked and what we didn't like. So please comment on the videos. Let me know your thoughts on the episodes as we cover them. I'll give shout outs to those of you who have great ideas or interesting thoughts, and I want to hear from you. I want this to be a fun conversation back and forth as we go through it. I've already seen Game of Thrones once before, but that was a while ago, so I'm excited to watch through the show again and discuss it with all of you. I do have a Reddit community and the Twitter account already made. So if you want to have your thoughts on an episode featured in the video or for uh, videos to come, um, go and you can post on my Reddit community. You can tweet at me. You can comment on the videos. Um, you can even comment on my daily videos on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes that I post here on YouTube. Or you can send me a smoke signal. Don't worry, I will see the smoke signal. I will be linking the Twitter, Reddit communities in the description down below. As always, if you have done already, please subscribe, like the video, ring the notification bell, and comment with your thoughts on today's video. Now let's travel to Westeros and look at what we can enjoy in Game of Thrones. So, what I remember the most about this episode from watching, I watched it about 2 days ago, and the first episode is so quiet. There's no music. You hear the sounds of their feet on the snow. You hear them brushing against the brush and the trees, but it's so quiet at the beginning, and it's very eerie. It sets the mood very well for take this show seriously, um, take this area of the show seriously, and be paying attention. And I think that's such a great opening to the show. It created so many questions, especially for my first time when I was watching it, and even now again, or what are these zombie-like creatures? Because they looked amazing, they looked really good, they looked scary. You could tell that they were dangerous, um, and then it just fades to the opening credits. And the opening credits, I gotta tell you, such, it was such a brilliant idea what they did with the opening credits, and it's such a great work of art. Um, I mean, if you've seen the show, if you've already watched the first episode for the first time, or you've seen it, all 8 seasons, you know that it shows the map of the world, the map of Westeros, and Dorne, I believe is the name of the other parts, um, and it helps to orient yourself into where things are taking place. It labels the locations. So as we're watching the show and someone says they have to go down to King's Landing, or the Night's Watch is on the wall, or and things like that. You've already, if you were paying attention, you already read the name of that location in the opening credits, so you know kind of where that is. Or in next week's episode, you're remembering that city name that they're going to or came from, and then you see it on the map, and you're like, okay, so that's where it is, and this is where they are. And I think that that's a really cool idea because with a lot of fantasy books, or a lot of really good fantasy books, they provide you a map of the world so that as you're reading, you can be like, where are they in the world? Go back to the beginning or end of the book, open the map, and you can see where they are now. You can see where they're going, and you can imagine that as they go along. Um, and I think that it's a really cool way to include that fantasy tool that fantasy authors use, and bring it into a show. So you don't have a character looking at a map. You as a viewer get to see the map before the episode begins. And then finally, the music. It's really good music. Um, it gets you pumped for the episode. Right after that opening scene, it gets you pumped, for like what's to come. And it's something that you can just listen to on its own. I love that song, and I've listened to it a ton of times. Um, Going forward, we skip a few scenes, but the next scene I wanted to talk about was the scene where they discovered the dire wolves, where the Stark boys discover the dire wolves, and I think it reveals a very interesting family dynamic. You see that Theon Greyjoy, who in future episodes you will learn He's not a part of the family, but he's a ward. He was sent there to be raised by Eddard Stark. You see that he can be cruel and heartless. He doesn't care about these wolves. About these dire wolves. They're pups. They're dangerous. They could be dangerous. So kill them off now before they become a danger in the future, rather than treat them well and they won't be a danger in the future. And so you can really see like he can be cruel. And that'll grow and reveal itself more in future seasons. You see that Bran is loving and kind. He sees these helpless pups, and he wants to take care of them. He wants to help raise them. He wants to treat them properly. He thinks it would be awful to kill them just because their mother died. And you can see that he has a heart for others. You see that he cares about other people, and you see that his father, Ned, cares about him and his feelings. And then you see John is caring and protective. He didn't really have anything to say until Bran wanted to protect the pups. Um, Once he saw that Bran cared about the direwolf pups and wanted to raise them and wanted one for his own, he spoke up and he spoke to his father and said that, there's enough for all of the Stark children, which at that time there were only 4 direwolf pups, which meant that Bran, um, I'm not even going to remember all their names now, Sansa, Arya, and, oh, what's the oldest one's name? And the oldest one. Um, that all of them would get a pup. And seeing that right there, he's not doing it for himself when he steps up and says that, because he wouldn't get one. He His mother is not the wife of Ned Stark. So he is not recognized as a Stark. So when he says there's enough for all of the Stark children, he is not including himself in that. And he's being selfless. He is stepping up and saying something so that Bran can have what he wants, and Bran can raise a friend, um, and have that companion. So you really see the caring and protective nature that Jon Snow can have, and that he doesn't see himself as a Stark. Then a few moments later, you see that there is a fifth, and he does get one. But you can really see his nature and his character in that scene. And finally, you see that Eddard Stark, he he does care about Jon. He does value Jon's opinion, his word, and his emotions. He didn't care that Bran wanted to raise the dire pups. When Bran asks, he said no. But when Jon asked, he said yes. So you can see how much he values and how much he loves Jon Snow. And you can see that there. And we'll see all of these different character dynamics and um, emotions and who they are as characters. We'll see that grow, expand, and change across the seasons, well into the end of the show. Um, and then we move on to a further scene that I thought was a really cool way to introduce 2 plot points in one. Now, if you've read the books, you know that Bran loves to climb and was always climbing. Um, and then also that there's an arrival of the king. And I thought these are 2 completely separate plot points that don't matter till later on in the episode, but they're introducing them at the same point, same time. Um, we see Bran on top of the castle, and he sees the king's troop arriving. So he runs down, and he's safe, he's fine, he's not hurt. And then his mother warns him it can be dangerous to climb, and she doesn't want him climbing. Uh, that'll be revealed at the end of the episode, and I thought that that's cool. That is cool. Because making a show is so much different than writing a book, reading a book, and so you can't always introduce things slowly or one at a time. Sometimes, and then we go and we see Daenerys, um, and I think that it was an interesting way to bring in the Targaryens, because they are first introduced by showing us who let's see, by first showing those who her family harmed. We first see Eddard Stark and King Baratheon down in the tomb, um, and we see, I don't remember her name, but Ned's sister's tomb. And they we get some hints and we get a little bit of story about when the Targaryens were in Westeros. They hurt people. They were cruel, they were not kind, and that is why there was a war and they were thrown out of the country, thrown out of the kingdom. And we get to see small hints of that right then and there. Um, and then it transitions and we see Daenerys and her brother, who are not even in the same continent that their family once ruled. Um, and for those who have read the books or already watched the show, we already know that Ned's sister's death is very important to the plot, and that it won't. I believe it's season 4 that it kind of not really gets resolved, but gets more revealed and talked about more. But we will talk about that more once it's in the show more. But I think it's really interesting and cool for them to be bringing that up in the very first episode. Why the Targaryens were thrown out, partially, and why um, Baratheon and Stark do not like the Targaryens and what their problem with there was. And it was that his sister died, and Stark's sister died, and Baratheon's lover died because of them. And I think that the scenes with Viserys and Daenerys are very insightful. We learn that Viserys only sees Daenerys as a tool to reach the Iron Throne. She might be his sister, but she's only a means to an end for him. He doesn't care about her feelings. He doesn't care what she wants out of this. She is only interested, or he is only interested in the Iron Throne. And we'll see that more throughout the first season, throughout the show. And so then we see a bit of the wedding between Daenerys and Drogo. Um, yeah, Khal Drogo. And you know, Jason Momoa is so great. He portrays such a strong character, but being so silent and unable to communicate with her. Um, it's not a good. What was the term? I didn't write it down. Um, it wasn't a good wedding unless 3 of them had died. Um, it's going to be a fun show to watch through. I hope that you enjoy watching it with me. I hope that you do watch it alongside me. I mean, that's why I'm going for maybe 2 to 3 episodes a week. If it's too much to watch 2 to 3 episodes a week, comment below. Let me know. We can lower it. We could do 1 to 2 or 1 episode a week. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to have fun with this, enjoy it, and try to see what are the cool things that are introduced early on, but the payoff is later, much later in the show. Um, I want to talk about favorite moments, least favorite moments, criticisms, insights. I want to have fun with it. So y'all let me know. Um, Favorite moment in the show, in the episode right now for me, honestly would probably be the opening scene. I loved the opening scene. I thought it was very, very well put together and such a great opening to kind of just a stark contrast to what we will see by the ending. Um, so that'll be it for today. Um, I think, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, y'all let me know in the below. Share this video with any of your friends. I'm trying to get people, involved in it. Trying, start up conversations with your other friends. Have them watch the video through the show with you. Talk about it each week and watch the video with me. So y'all have a great week. I will see you next Saturday. For those who are only watching the Game of Thrones videos, for those who watch me every day, I will see you tomorrow.